Hey, everybody. Do you want to know how to make delicious non-alcoholic beverages? Do you want to know the secrets behind building the perfect mocktail? Do you want to know about drinks that are good and good for you and have that complexity? Of course you do. Do you want to win a free cookbook? Of course you do. So I am thrilled to pieces. This week's on Cookbooks with Virginia is Good Drinks by Julia Bainbridge. Cookbooks with Virginia airs every Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And each and every week, I bring on a different friend or colleague and talk about their great book. Sometimes they're new books, sometimes they're older books, sometimes they're classic books, but they're always all about cookbooks. And this book is super exciting for lots of different reasons. And I'm super happy and excited to have Julia on. So let's bring her on and say hello. Hey,
Hello.
Julia.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Virginia.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm thrilled to pieces.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. And we were just discussing before we went live the beautiful background, which is in fact wallpaper. Background.
I can't right. I'm in Florida. I need a festive cocktail, right? I need a festive, one of your festive good drinks. So Julia, let's just jump right in. I'm going to tell people, first of all, that they can win a free copy. All right. So y'all, you're going to go to my Instagram feed and you're going to like me and you're going to like Julia Bainbridge. It's all right there in the instructions. You're going to see a copy of this cool, awesome book and you're going to enter to win and we'll choose a winner on Monday. It's by 10 Speed Press. Beautiful book. Incredible. And so Julia, let's talk a little bit about this. Like this is, you and I were in pre-production talking about kind of how you got there. So let's just share with people, like, how do you have this book, Good Drinks? Let's talk about your story.
Let's talk about, well, first of all, let's shout out to Alex Lau, who took that beautiful cover shot and all the photos inside, which, you know, I that's one thing maybe I'll start with is that it was really important to me, the look of this book.
Yeah.
Because it's not the first non-alcoholic drinks book in the world, but it is the first that could capitalize on a newfound kind of energy and acceptance. You know, I almost struggle with saying that I wrote it because really I put it together. It rests on the work of bartenders across the country who were really thinking about people who don't drink for whatever reason, whether it's in life, whether it's tonight, whether it's this round. And, you know, I noticed something was happening. And I wanted to reflect that in this book. And I also wanted the book to reflect how sophisticated these drinks are. So, you know, these are not Shirley Temples. These are not your syrups and sodas. And the photos had to be, I might say so myself, sexy enough to really convey the adult beverage you are going to get when you drink.
No, and I love that. And it's just like, and I love your approach, like for whatever reason, tonight, this round, your life. I mean, the whole thing, like there's a lot of different reasons. And there is a societal pressure, like happy hour and, you know, or drinks or alcohol. And some people that are trying to back off alcohol feel a lot of societal pressure to drink. And this, yeah. I feel like that these sexy drinks alleviate some of that pressure in a way, because you're having this crafted concoction.
Yeah. And I'm very happy to be the hype girl and to celebrate this category. But I just really do have to say that, you know, again, the book was kind of a journalistic endeavor in that I was just reflecting what was already happening.
Right.
Yeah. Lucky that I can be the champion of it all now. But, you know, thanks to all the bartenders who were really doing that work and offering things for people that had names. So you didn't have to go through that conversation for those who might feel funny about their reason for not drinking of like, okay, I'd like something non-alcoholic. Okay, here's what we have that we've already prepped for the other cocktails. I can maybe make you, you know, do you like sweet or savory? Those were your two choices. Now it's like you just get around that whole uncomfortable back and forth.
Yeah.
You order the Honeydew Avocado Fresca, or you order has a name. It's on the menu, and that was definitely something that was new around like 2015 was what I started seeing.
Right. No, I think of two things. Like just actually, I think last week I ordered a drink. I said I want this drink without the vodka. Right. So it's like, you know, so I'm having to be the mixologist at my table. Right. You know, it's like, I want all those things in it except the vodka, you know, and of course that's not the best way to handle it. And I remember a couple years ago, Same question, sweet or savory? And I said, I'd like something not too sweet. And then I think it was the main component was pineapple juice, which was, of course, terribly sweet, right? So let's talk about that, because you keep going to this. And I, of course, know that you have this tremendous editorial and journalist background. Will you please share for some of the viewers that may not be as familiar, will you just take us through that? Like, how did you wind up this journalistic endeavor of compiling these drink recipes from these mixologists and bartenders?
Yes. You mean because I'm trained as a journalist?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm saying some people I see, I know here, some people who are new. So yes. Hi. I have had a background as an editor and writer, mainly about food and drinks. So, oh God, do we take it all the way back to college? I mean, I was studying journalism and anthropology. It was through anthropology that I realized there was this whole academic world of food writing, which isn't ultimately what I ended up doing when I became an editor of Appétit and Condé Nast Traveler and worked at Food and Wine. You know, that was more about trends and, you know, dining in the present. But I really, what turned me on to food was not only, of course, its deliciousness, but also the way in which it can be a lens through which to look at people. You know, people define themselves by how they cook, by what they eat, by what they don't eat, what's taboo, right? And it's funny that now it's come full circle, because then I became kind of a generalist. I have been both an editor on staff at various national publications, regional, Atlanta Magazine. I was the food editor at Saveur, Virginia, and I finally met in person, although of course her reputation preceded her and I had known of her before meeting her. But yeah, I think I've kind of come full circle now to focus on alcohol-free drinking, which there is a mission there other than just pointing people to what's delicious. While that's much of it, and I want to celebrate these drinks, I think also historically non-drinkers have felt like second-class citizens, because that's the placement on the menu and the care given to these drinks has maybe made them and not anymore. And, you know, it could be a whole other conversation, you know, trying to come up the sociocultural piece of why now and all the things that came together to make it such that, you know, moderation is something more people are interested in now. So that not drinking for whatever reason really does apply.
Right. No. And, you know, I mean, I think that it's been tremendous. Like in our industry, for example, in the food industry, whether you're a chef and restaurateur in the hospitality, like actually serving people, or food writing or whatever that is, there's a tremendous amount of alcohol consumption. And it's way more than normal. It's way more than like American Medical Association. It's way more than, you know, a glass of wine today, blood pressure, heart disease, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's really tremendous. And I feel like that there has been, and you're capturing this, right? You've captured this in this book. There has been like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Maybe we need to do things a little differently.
Yeah. The book, the work that was being done, you know, that's captured in the book definitely is connected to that. I think there's also part of that came out of the reckoning we've been having in general in this country. I honestly think that looking at how restaurants are run and how staffs are treated is not connected to Me Too. And that was something that kicked off a lot of people looking inward and seeing with, you know, are they running a sustainable business, meaning one that sustain its people, one that treats them fairly. And so, all of these things come together. I think the stigma slowly falling away from, you know, substance use disorders. I think you have more people, you know, you've got the wellness movement with a capital W, not going anywhere. So you have more people thinking about not only how gluten makes them feel, they might not be, you know, allergic to gluten, but it just, you know, doesn't make them feel good. So starting to eat more gluten-free things, and the same with alcohol, people just realizing that, you know, I am not sober, but I still want the ritual of having a drink. I still want something delicious, but I just don't want the alcohol in it.
Or it's also nice, like last night, whenever I'm visiting friends in Florida, last night we went over for, you know, happy hour. We had snacks and nibbles. One of us had a glass of wine, and the other three of us had a CBD mocktail, right? So it's like non-alcoholic, except for the bitters part, right? Which you do address in the book, alcohol and bitters and stuff. And so, but I do feel like definitely a movement. So let's talk about, let me just mention this one more time. So y'all go to Instagram, and then we have a question from Debbie Loftus in Atlanta. Julia, what drink would you suggest for Memorial Day?
Debbie, I would actually suggest the one I'm making.
Yay! There we go. That was not a plan. I promise you this. I promise you that. Good answer. So on that note, this drink that you're about to show us how to make, and then also the other drinks, like how did you traveled the country, right? So how did you discover these beverage recipes?
I did. So I did travel across the country, and I'm nostalgic for the way of doing research. Hopefully as we're emerging, we'll get back into a world in which that's possible again. But I got into my 2006 Subaru Impreza that I bought from my sister-in-law for like a few $1,000s and drove across the country alone a couple times to really, here's why to do that. One, it's the way good journalism is done, really on the ground and, talking with people locally. Two, this category still is new now and certainly was at the time I filed my manuscript. And so the local media coverage, which would be the place where I'd always start when reporting any kind of story, is see what else has been written about it. The local media coverage didn't go so deep because it just wasn't deep yet in general. But I knew that there would be stuff to find that just hasn't been talked about yet.
Right.
And also I wanted this book to act as a literal guidebook. I wanted to highlight the places that do think about these drinks and treat them with care, so that when you're traveling to these places, you can go there and get a thoughtful non-alcoholic drink. And so it was important to, create relationships with people, especially if I was going to be taking their recipes and putting them in my book.
No, yeah, sure.
See what all of these spots were like in person. A restaurant or bar can have a really slick website, and then you get there and it doesn't match, or there are great places that, I would recommend people go to that don't have an online presence at all. So for everything to have my stamp of approval, I really wanted to go be there in person and say, this is not only a drink I would recommend, but a place I would recommend going to.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so thoughtful, Julia. That's the thing that I think, obviously I've long respected your work, but I really do think, and maybe it's because it's a place in my life, right? Like I've been drinking a lot less. Like I had a horrible year a couple years ago, and it's like, whoa, I need to look at life differently. I want to be more healthy, right? It was very health driven. It's like, I need my mind and my body to be in a better place. And so I knew that alcohol is a depressant, and I was depressed enough all by myself. I didn't need any help with that, right? So it's like, what can I do? And I just started making that shift. But I still love, I still love something that tasted, I want something more than like soda and lime or, things like that. And I want to point out, so you've got these, y'all, it's not just, Martelli's apple juice. She's got to store in the pantry, sweetener, spices, salt, tea, vinegars, flour waters, acids, non-alcoholic spirits. Like you really,
that was the most surprising thing. We talked about savory before, and miso is something that I saw someone use in a drink effectively, believe it or not. I was hard pressed to find anything you might have in your fridge that couldn't somehow be used in a drink when I was doing this research. I guess the last point I want to make, well, there are a few things I have to say about what you just said. One last point I must make about why to do the research the way I did, other than it being a privilege and a joy to get to just fly around by myself and meet all kinds of people, including, food writers on their own turfs. I did a lot of outreach to, say the food editor at the, Roanoke paper saying, hi, this is who I am. I promise I'm for real. Here's where I've worked. I'd love to take you out for a drink and tell me what's up here. And as soon as you start doing that, people recommend other places usually wouldn't have been covered. But another piece is that I think, having been part of food media for about a decade leading up to that, I think we were guilty of too often looking to the coasts for what was trending, what was hot. And so over time, you convey that on the coasts is where taste is made. And that's not the case. So
a whole lot in the middle.
Right. So I really wanted to showcase talent all across the country. And boy, does it exist. There's so many cocktail obsessed, really dedicated bartenders who are doing very cool things.
That's so,
I really wanted to put like a speakerphone to that. And I guess what you were saying about health, it's true, you know, that these don't have alcohol. I wasn't looking to make a health drinks book. I mean, there still are, you know, there is sugar in these drinks. You know, not all of the ingredients in them are nutritive. Well, I guess I didn't make it with that in mind. Some of them happen to be low sugar. Some of them happen to be nutritious, or have, you know, roots and shoots and things in them that are good for you. But that was not necessarily my intention when choosing the recipes. It was for, you know, deliciousness. It was for something that I felt was surprising to me or would be to my audience. These drinks had to be a level up from a lemonade. If they had to work against the bad reputation this category has for them being too sweet. If they were sweet, there had to really be a reason why. Right. Yeah, and they also, the last piece, and this is what required looking at it on the ground, was that they had to be listed on the menu. Like they had to take up real estate on the intention and paper beverage menu, yes, which showed an intention, which showed honestly hospitality to all kinds of drinkers.
Exactly. So, no, that's true. And it's not, like you said, it's not just an afterthought. It's not just like asking the bartender, you know, that sort of thing. So would you please show us this perfect drink for Memorial Day weekend? I think it's super exciting. I'm so excited about the timing for this. Like, this is like this big party weekend, and, you know, suitcases of beer are being sold, you know, by the pallet all across the United States. And I just really love the fact that we decided to do this book this weekend.
Good. Yes, me too. And this is a really there are some labor intensive drinks in the book. This one is not so. I don't have a mixing glass or a shaking tin here. We're building it in the glass. It's super easy and definitely a poolside refreshing drink. It's an agua fresca. You know, I think the reason I called the book Good Drinks is like not all of them are necessarily what you think of as cocktails, you know? But we have Honeydew, which depending on where you live is going to be really nice right now. Mine's a little bit less sweet than I want it to be. So I might pull back on the acid that I'm using. And that's something you know a lot about, is taste your fruits and vegetables before you work with them, because you might have to pivot. So, okay. It's a honeydew avocado puree. Doesn't look very sexy right here, right now, but it does.
It matches my background.
It does match your background, and it tints this drink so beautifully. This is from Megan Sanchez from Guero in Portland, Oregon. It's like a torta shop, and I'm making it also in part because she just texted me and says she's going to be coming through New York. So this is her being here. So we start. We have a Collins glass, you know, or a highball. I'm gonna.
Yep, and y'all, and you talk about that. You talk about all the different glasses. Like, it really is like an education. So, okay, so you got a highball glass.
Yes, a couple ice cubes. I am going to start with. I'm even referencing my book here because it's been. I mean, this is good. It's reminding me how to make this so that I can make it this weekend. So we're gonna start with lime juice and salt. I'm doing 3. I've squeezed the lime juice. I've strained it too. You don't have to strain it. I just don't like those little bits of pulp. Also, the reason why the avocado is in this puree is because it really gives this silky texture, and I don't want anything to fight against that. And then the nice bubbles we're going to get. So I'm doing 3/4 of an ounce using my little jigger to measure it out. And I'm going to put a little bit of kosher salt in here. We're doing salt twice, one in the drink so that it can really awaken the ingredients inside, and then one's going to be our little garnish, which you could have done a rim before we started by just taking a little bit of lime right there to get it sticky. But I'm going to be lazy and just toss it on the top, which I actually think looks really good. So, okay. We started with our lime juice and salt. Then we add our soda water, and I'm gonna do 4 ounces. And the reason why to add this before, it seems wrong, right? You seem like you add all the flavor together, mix that up, and then top with soda water. But because the puree is heavy, it actually helps us incorporate it. You know, we just stick it on top and it starts to weigh down.
Nice. Yeah.
So we have my soda water, and then let's see, did I really do all 4 ounces? I'm not sure I did. Let's add a little more. As you can see, this is very not exact. Some of the drinks in the book are, but this one is a forgiving one. So that's all.
I love the avocado and what you say about it giving some silkiness, because there is that there's your sour, salty, bittersweet, but then there's also the textural things of foods and drinks. And I love this silky avocado. That's really super cool.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the honeydew there is, watery, is a little sweet, but the avocado, the ratio of it's not so much. I think you do a half a cup of cubed avocado with 4 cups of honeydew, and you just blitz that together and then strain it. You can do that up to 3 days in advance. So who was it, Debbie? You could
yeah,
you could make it now this afternoon. So I just, topped that in the top, and then you do want to take a little bar spoon and mix it around. As I said, the weight of it, helped us out a little bit. And now it's all beautiful and incorporated, and we have that like nice light.
Oh, it's a pretty color.
I'm going to top it with a little more water just so that it comes up to the top and foams in a way that foam provides a nice little bed for our tahine, which I just put on top.
Oh, super sexy. I'll tell people what that is that don't know what that is.
Tahine is a chili lime seasoning. You can buy it. But also, if you can't find it, you can just use, you can make your own chili lime seasoning. I think you would just use lime zest and chili powder and salt and mix it together. But that's really it. So again, we had our Collins glass, fill it with ice, a little bit of lime juice, kosher salt, top with soda water, top with your honeydew avocado puree. Fix the ratios if you want, like I did, because I didn't do it perfectly from the get-go. It's very forgiving, remember. And then add your tahine on top. That's it.
That's fantastic. Yay! Well, we have a comment already. Bonnie Jacob says, loves the hospitality aspect. Great for home entertainment for my no alcohol friends too. That's something to consider, right? Like it's all of these are restaurateur drinks, but they can be made at home. But one of the things that you have pointed out is that some are more labor intensive than others.
Yes. And I think, Bonnie, you're right about, I think the thoughtful host really does provide something non-alcoholic. You don't know if everybody who is coming to your house drinks, even if they're all good friends of yours. Maybe somebody's newly pregnant and not ready to talk about it yet.
That's exactly what I just thought about. Like, you know, that 3-month thing.
Right. Maybe someone drank a little too much the night before and they're embarrassed about it, don't want to talk about it, but don't want to drink. You know, who knows? There are all kinds of reasons why we make these choices for ourselves. So what I advise people to do, not that Bonnie asked for my advice, but I'm going to give it, is, you know, usually on my sideboard over here, I just put out all the drinks I'm serving and I include something non-alcoholic and it's all there for the taking. You know, I don't take drink orders. There's no conversation about what you want. It's just all there. I say, please go, you know, have a drink. It's labeled. So whatever's non-alcoholic is clear that it is. And those things that are alcoholic are clear that they are. And there you go. You just pick.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And summer parties, when I often have summer parties, I mean, even if I'm drinking or not drinking or whatever that may be, it's like, you know, there's children, there are people for all different reasons that may or may not. So it's nice to have that. You know, people I think are so geared to think about, oh, if we got beer and soda, well, gosh, or beer and soda and wine, there's a whole world of stuff out there. Now let's talk about this. Are there, so do you feel
this is so good? I prepped it yesterday and I had one for myself and I'm like, wow, I really forgot how good this drink is.
No, it sounds delicious. I love the melon. I mean, melon is like perfect. So, yeah. And here's the beautiful photograph of what she just made.
Yes, mine does not look quite like that.
That's okay. I'm not trying to show you up with your own beautiful drink and your own beautiful book.
Glassware that I have at home, made by this couple in upstate New York who has a glass company called Malfatti. And I just think it's perfect that it's like a little bit wonky, you know, or somewhat misshapen, but not so much. I guess one other thing, you know, about offering things for your guests, but maybe you don't want to, whatever your week is shaking out to be like, you don't have the effort to make one of these drinks. There are so many more good adult non-alcoholic products on the market today. And speaking of beer, Virginia, you mentioned, I mean, that is a category that is really benefited from improved technology.
Yes.
And even newly discovered yeast strains that are allowing people to fully ferment beers, even so you get all of the flavor, because before it was really like beer water, right? It's like you make a beer, you blast it through, you know, a dealcoholization machine, and you get something that's not that complex and just has sort of a whisper of malt. but you know, there are places like Athletic Brewing that's an exclusively non-alcoholic brewery making different styles of beer, and successfully so, because they've kind of Frankensteined. They won't tell all of their process, but they Frankenstein a bit of dealcoholization, a bit of this yeast strain that lets them fully ferment a beer and not get above the 0.5% ABV, which is what we deem to be, you know, that and above is what we deem to be alcoholic. So there's a lot of activity going on in this space, so that you can just buy something if you don't feel like making it. And if you follow me on social, I'm constantly making recommendations there. I have a newsletter where I'm looking at about 50 bottles on my living room floor, and really need to come up with a better way to organize them. But I'm combing the world for the best alcohol-free products out there and telling people about them. So please do.
No, and I think that that's super cool, because there's something I was reading recently, and this one was like talking talking about drinking and not drinking, how alcohol doesn't really taste good, and we're just conditioned to it. And I thought, well, gosh, I don't know. Like, I think that some alcohol does taste good. It's not just about that buzz, right? Like, I like the flavor. I mean, granted,
I think, there's some alcohol, you know, it's bracing quality, you know, is what helps us slow down. That's why we have a cocktail hour, right? I think about, you know, a whiskey opens up over time, and you can sit with it and not have to, you know, this is like a guzzler. You know, like you're by the pool and you chug it. And there are some drinks in the book that are not, that really help you keep pace with your friends who are drinking. But yeah, I'm definitely not anti-alcohol. I think alcohol is delicious. And there are lots of, you know, the quality of all kinds of beverages have improved in our country over the past 2 decades. I mean, think about the cocktail revolution, like, you know, it was still in the 90s that vodka sodas, you know, were sort of like the go-to drink. This whole, like, that we know of Manhattans and Negronis, and the sort of, you know, we've been educated about this golden era of cocktails was relatively recent. So a lot's happened. There are lots of like small distilleries making really beautiful products, lots of craft beers. And now finally that's happening in the alcohol-free realm too. So
I know it's really
moderating your drinking, you know, it really is.
It's a benefit from this. Like, I feel like that the food and beverage scene, it just keeps getting, like, people keep going deeper and deeper in terms of ingredients, in terms of sourcing, in terms of the farmer, in terms of the soil, like the whole thing. And this is just like another layer of it, like exploration. You know, we've got
also, finally, I feel like we, you know, you had every piece of the menu perfected from, you know, the tasting menu that restaurants have, bread programs, you have finally now non-alcoholic drinks.
Yes. And they all sound fun. The staycation, the bicycle gang. I love the cold fashioned. Cynthia Graubart, who I know is watching right now, we're going to have to make a cold fashioned. The Virgi Spritz. I love that.
That's one of my favorites. That's that's the cover recipe for a couple of reasons. One is, you know, it looks so elegant, but two, that's another one where there's not a lot of labor involved. And there's actually no, you know, a lot of these drinks, I say you have to cook to build these drinks, because if you want to get something that is complex, and if you want to get at bitterness and other things, you might have to like roll your sleeves up and steep a bunch of different teas with citrus peels, you know, or over steep teas to get at bitterness, or, you know, really manipulate these ingredients on your stovetop. But that is one where you buy 3 things that other people have made for you. So verjus, soda water, and tonic water. You pour them in a stemmed glass with ice in equal parts, and that's it. Lemon twist if you want.
Oh, it's so smart. And I think it's on, you know, and then, you know, back to that hospitality. It's like making it easy on yourself, being truly hospitable to your guests. Like, there's just a lot of reasons to do this, because, you know, everyone's had a party with a guest has been accidentally overserved or served too much themselves. Just like having other options is the right thing to do. I can't even believe it. I could just talk to you for another half an hour easily. Easily. So tell people, please, where they can find you, where they can find this book. I mean, all those kind of wonderful things.
All those things. Okay.
All those things.
About the Virgi Spritz is that it also makes a great pitcher drink. So you could just equal that. That's one where the drinks math is, you can just level it all up. So I guess that's another good Memorial Day drink. Ooh, that with like salty barbecue would be really good. Anyway, okay. At Julia Bainbridge everywhere, really, on Twitter, and Instagram, and it's on Instagram where you will find juliabainbridge.com also is the website. So I guess whether you're on Instagram or you have access to the internet, if you go to Julia Bainbridge somewhere, you're going to find everything else. Meaning, a link to buy the book, a link to subscribe to the newsletter. There's a free component and a paid component, and also just DM me for recommendations. I'm happy to make them. I'm really just so excited to be able to do this work and do something with my professional life that I'm interested in personally. So
no, I think it's great. I will find out more about it, and do go to juliabainbridge.com because Julia also has a podcast, and you have your profession, your work is just so rich and I think, and you've got and it all sort of dovetails together, which I think is like smart and shows like such intention, which is always good, right? All right, we got one more comment, and then I've got yum. We just got a yum. So that sounds good. All right, I've got my 5 questions that I always end with, and there's no crazy curveballs or anything like that.
Okay.
All right. So what's the last cookbook or drink book that you cook from other than your own?
Oh, I just got Gregory Gourdet's book. He's a chef in Portland, and I do make things other than non-alcoholic drinks, but he is some great drink recipes in there. And there's a simple lemonade, but made with coconut too, like coconut milk, coconut water, and lemon, and it's really good.
That sounds delicious. Okay, what is your most indispensable cooking tool?
Is a knife boring?
No,
it's just like that.
You have to tell you the truth though. You're the first person that said knife, and I've been expecting it like every time. I mean, I feel like that's my answer for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I can do anything if I have a knife. So there you go. We're cut from the same cloth. Of the 5 flavors, sour, salty, bitter, sweet, and umami, in a drink or in food, which is your go-to?
Salty. Yeah, I was just talking with a friend last night who has some health issues and has to, lessen the salt in her diet. And I think the pain that I felt for her conveyed how important salt is to me. So
yeah. It's really hard. It's so hard.
Salt just gives life to everything.
Yeah, it brings out the flavor, just like what you had, like putting that little pop on top. So, hey, Carrie Botman saying hello. All right, now this is, I'm not asking for hardcore favorites, but in terms of like content, in terms of watching someone, like if you're watching a cooking video or a drinks video or something like that, who is someone that you want to share with us? Who is someone that you like to watch?
For cook food related specifically? Well, I'm lucky. This answer is easy because it's this new series. It's not exactly, they do demo some recipes, but High on the Hog, this new series on Netflix, my friend Steven Satterfield. There are 2 Steven Satterfields. This is this is not the chef based in Atlanta, although it is a food dude who was born and raised in Atlanta, but it's all about African and African American foodways and how functional they've been to American foodways. And Steven just does an incredible job. Not for nothing, he has this velvety voice that makes it very easy. Yeah,
and he's handsome. and then anytime you start with anything by Dr. Jessica Harris, you're starting out at the highest level to begin with, right? Anything.
Right.
So, well, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing that about High on the Hog. All right, and then my last question: what is one of your favorite sort of food memories? Like, what would be a nice like sort of food or drink memory for summer?
This is I'm just saying what comes to mind. Everyone.
I think that's it. That's why I don't tell people the questions ahead of time.
This one's a little dirty, but my boyfriend, who's a chef, who's Mexican American, grew up on the border, and he makes a pancake at his restaurant Zilonen in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, and it's been a very well received. This recipe was just mentioned in the New Yorker, and I think he recipe to Epicurious as well, so you can make it at home. But I have a photo of him developing it in my kitchen last summer in the nude. And
that is an awesome food memory, man. And you win the prize for the best food memory. No, like cast iron skillets and grandmother's here. I've got a hot naked chef in my kitchen.
There is a photo of it. I did post it on Twitter with his approval, but of course with a little bar.
The bar across. That's awesome.
Julia's cards.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. So Julia, thank you so much for sharing good drinks with us. I'm so grateful for you being on the show. Thank you so much, and I just can't wait to see what you're up to. Everybody who's going to follow you on social as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Yay, y'all. Thank you so much for watching Cookbooks with Virginia. Streams live every Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. And then after this, what we'll do is I'll upload it to Instagram. Please go to my Instagram feed and seek out the cover of this book. Sign up, follow me, follow Julia, and you'll win a copy. So thank you so much. Have a safe, happy, and healthy Memorial Day weekend. Bon appetit, y'all.